Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignell. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series where I interview an amazing Black woman every single day for 29 straight days, Black History Month. And today I'm super delighted to have Samantha Fennell, who's the partner and managing director of Purpose, joining me today. She's an awesome story and I cannot wait for you to hear her. Take a listen. Hey, Samantha.
Hi, Laura. Great to be here.
So delighted to have you and want to jump right in. So, first question answers are always amazing, and I can't imagine yours would be any less. Samantha, what was your first job?
My very first job in the industry that I'm in now was probably at Paper Magazine. This was back in the early 90s, and I was a first-time salesperson in advertising sales. And I learned a lot and I'm still friends with the founders today.
Wow. How does one even find that job fresh out of college?
Well, funny story. I, fresh out of college, was a hostess at a restaurant called 44 at the Royalton Hotel. The Royalton Hotel at the time was proximate to Condé Nast. And in fact, the restaurant 44 was often called the Condé Nast Cafeteria. And I was hostess there and was knee deep in the world of publishing and editors running all over the place and catering to the likes of Anna Wintour and Tina Brown, and decided at that moment that I wanted to be in publishing. And after about 6 weeks of telling everybody that I knew that I wanted to break into advertising sales specifically, I got a big break and ended up at Paper Magazine as a salesperson.
Wow, very awesome. So, yeah, it sounds like once you put your mind to something, you're just gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm determined that way, can be quite single-minded and not afraid of knocking down barriers to get there and also really asking for help and something I've gotten better at as I've gotten older, but asking for help and giving help where I can as well.
Awesome. We take that determined mindset and we build that career. So, what led us to have this conversation today? What's that career journey been like?
My career journey has definitely been, I guess I'd say it started out quite linear for the first half, first two-thirds of my career. And then kind of instead of making a pivot or two, I made some three-point turns, which is how I got to be the managing director of Purpose here in North America. But the career journey kind of phase one was really linear, as I mentioned, in publishing. So going from a small magazine like Paper Magazine to working on the launch of Vibe back in the day when it was a part of Time Inc. Ventures, which was really exciting time. I mean, to really bring, hip hop and rap to, corporate America and bringing a level of acceptance and appreciation to brands and businesses that had up until then never really considered that audience as desirable. And I'm doing my air quotes, even though you can't see me. Um, and then moved on from Vibe to Rolling Stone. And then from Rolling Stone, spent my next 8 years at Condé Nast, interestingly enough, kind of hearkening back to the origins of my interest in magazine publishing. And at Condé Nast, I had 4 jobs in 8 years. The HR person there used to tell me, okay, it's been 2 years in this role. We got to find something else for you to do because it wasn't really about the ascent for the sake of ascent. But I really would feel after a couple of years like I was ready for a new challenge. And the great thing about working for a large organization is if you've proved yourself, if you are talented and inquisitive, there's oftentimes opportunity to move around. So I went from American fashion director at Vogue, which was my first role at Condé Nast, then to corporate, where I oversaw all the fashion and luxury business. Probably about 80% of the revenue at that time was going through corporate in those categories. That was a lot of fun, spending a lot of time in Europe and working with the whole portfolio that existed at Condé Nast at the time. Then got an itch to go back to Vogue as advertising director and work on the leadership team and growing, that huge brand focused on market share expansion, of course, account growth and all the things that we do. And then I ended up going after 8 years at Condé Nast, moving over to Vogue's number one competitor, which was Elle magazine at the time, probably still is, and then became associate publisher at Elle, working closely with Carol Smith, who was the publisher at the time, and ran large teams, was, responsible for a significant revenue, top line revenue, really helping to grow some of the great talent there, which I'm proud to say, and looking back, a lot of the folks on my team, are now C-levels in their own right. And then after publishing, kind of got an itch to work on the Obama campaign. Actually, it was 2008, and I was really in the middle of, what some have said is that was the height of my publishing career, and took a hiatus and decided I really wanted to participate in what I saw to be a once in a lifetime opportunity, which was to work exclusively on fundraising and events and organizing for the Obama campaign. And that's what I did. And so for 6 months, I took a step back from, quote unquote work and created 3 fundraisers in conjunction with the Tri-State Finance Committee here in New York, tagging in different cohorts, different circles and networks that I had in New York to create 3 great fundraisers, raise a whole lot of money, much of which was from first-time political donors. And then imagine this now, this is 2008, hearing, well, we've actually raised enough money. What?
Can you remember what that was?
It's 2024, 2025, there is no such thing. So there was something called Camp Obama at the time, which was a 2-day training session for folks that had the ability to be deployed to different battleground states around the country. I said, well, I'm on my hiatus, I'm on my sabbatical, let's do it. So they deployed me to Ohio, where I was the out-of-state coordinator for volunteers that were coming in from all over the world. Incredible time. Came back after winning, yay, and then started kind of contemplating what I wanted to do next. And at the time, 2008, 2009, still working in media, I then went to Huffington Post, really itching for a pure play digital sales experience. And that was a gas. And then I ended up coming back to traditional publishing, working both in print and digital at Time Inc. at the time. Time Inc. Branded Solutions was the name of the division, where we managed huge Fortune 500 accounts, similar to the Condé Nast role, but I worked on multiple categories and then pivoted to the agency world after that. And that led me to my journey toward social impact. And now I am in my, I guess, 18th, 19th month at Purpose, which is a global social impact agency with 8 offices around the world, and I run North America. And we do all sorts of activations, really working on shifting public narratives, behaviors and policies, and working with corporations, foundations, NGOs, nonprofits, to really not just drive awareness, but really work on bridging the gap between like intention and action in social impact, and really making sure that our partners have sustained efforts that drive meaningful outcomes and really sustainable solutions, I think is the key. There's no quick fixes when you're working in social impact, and we really help our partners to identify those systemic issues that they are committed to helping to solve.
Wow. This is incredible. I mean, it seems like you've always sort of been at the right place at the right time as things that need your amazing skills.
Well, thank you.
I mean, to go from Vogue to Elle to the Obama campaign, I am certain you ran into a whole heap of challenges. And you're like, there's no way I'm getting through. So let's talk about that. Like, what happens when you have a really crazy challenge? You're like, there's no way I'm getting through, and then you did.
Sure, great question. I have, you might say, like a delusion around challenges where I rarely see no way to a solution. Some might say I should give up on some challenges sooner than I do, but I just have had in my life and in my career this belief that there is almost always a way. Almost always way. And if you don't find a way, as long as you've left everything on the field, you can feel okay about that. So, I think a recent challenge is just won't name the client, of course, but working with one of our partners on a potential campaign that we had done a ton of strategy work for and research for, and we've had a really lovely partnership. But we really had the challenge of competing with their belief that they could pull off the next phase of work in-house. And it took a lot of effort and activity to prove our value and to not just say, all right, well, I guess you actually could. We'll see you later and good luck. So, it was a challenge where the door was closing. We had just really minutes to reframe our value proposition for this client. And lo and behold, they have the door open for us now and are reconsidering, working with us on this next phase of work. So, I would say challenges are real. Not all challenges are insurmountable. That's true. That would truly be delusion if I believe that. But I'd say when you think that there is, really no way to overcome a challenge, just take a step back and say, well, if there was a way, what would it look like? If there was one more opportunity to turn this no into a yes, what could it be? And just kind of unleash yourself from the belief that it's over and it's done. And then you push through that. And then if it's over and done, again, you can live with that. It's kind of how I approach challenges.
That's a phenomenal way of approaching challenges. And I think, it's funny in doing 29 days, one of the things that is a prevailing theme amongst every Black woman I interview is that we just figure it out. Like we find a way,
Figure it out. Figure it out. That's right.
somehow or high water, we just find a way. And I think it's our resilience, our ability to just, you know, find a crack in the door and see our way through. The window's closed, we crack open a window. Like, and it's so beautiful to hear and just the innumerable ways that folks demonstrate how that's possible. So that when folks hear that, they realize that you can always figure it out. There's always a way, uh,
Yep.
no matter
Totally.
what it is. So getting back to, okay, this amazing career journey and doing all these different things, what, pray tell, does Samantha do for Samantha? What do you do for your self-care?
Laura, that is a good question. And I'm the first to admit that I've kind of lost sight of prioritizing self-care in 2024 due to various things going on in my life. And I am committed, and it's not a resolution. It's not like, oh, it's January 25. I've got to do this, that, and the other. It's really about coming back to understanding the value of self-care supports not just me, but everybody around me, from my 8-year-old son to my 80-something-year-old mother to my team at work and everybody else. So my self-care kind of reboot, I would call it, really includes something, things as simple as committing to gym time, committing to a mindfulness practice, committing to starting journaling again, and not trying to do 10 things at once, especially if you kind of lost your way, as I did in 2024. Just picking like 3 things that will have great benefit fairly quickly and that you can be consistent with. So, those are kind of the areas that I'm pushing back into. And again, kind of finding my way back to appreciating the value of self-care for me and for others.
It's a process.
It is, and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like one thing that I kind of moved away from are those 10-day challenges, 20-day challenges, because I feel like it's great to jumpstart a process or a behavior change, but they oftentimes are like big sprints and then you feel like you're done. So instead of doing the challenge methodology, I'm really trying to ease back into a long-term practice of care that's, maybe not as intense, but that is sustainable for the long haul.
Yeah, it's what worked for you. If it's, getting up in the morning and doing a stretch, if it's going for if you're prioritizing a walk or calling a friend, like it's just a matter of doing something for yourself. And because we get so bogged down with the world, like It's heady, it's scary, it's all manner of upside down right now. And I think the more that we can, take those little breaks, whatever those little breaks might be, for
Yeah.
ourselves are of paramount importance.
Agreed. Like today, I have to go to Midtown, and I was calculating the time it would take me to get there on the train and realized, I could take 30 minutes and have a really great walk in the beautiful sunshine that we have today, or I could take 10 minutes and skirt around underground. And so I'm taking that 30 minutes. And that's, I think what I mean as an example of, the simple things you can do for self-care, which is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who can, do 10 minutes of meditation, 30 minutes of yoga, and, and I have polar plunge. Yeah, good luck. Okay, wonderful for you. But also it is, rather than me being on the subway, I'll take the walk.
Yep, exactly.
Like, or, I take the subway somewhere and I walk back, whatever it may be. But like those little moments where you can find yourself and you can just have Samantha time, as I do, or Laura, I call Laura time. It comes in so handy, and it's so important for us because again, the world is crazy. And so
Could not be crazier. That
yeah,
is
it
true.
could not be. Well, let's not ask for
Well,
more.
yeah, exactly. But there's more.
I mean, I'm watching Paradise on Hulu, and that show if, is amazing, but also it is hitting way too close to home right now. 'Cause I'm like, could that
Ooh,
happen?
I gotta check it out. I haven't seen it. Thanks for the
Oh my
tip.
gosh, it's got Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden. Sterling K. Brown plays the head Secret Service agent, and James Marsden plays the president. I can tell you this part about it. In the first episode, the president gets assassinated, and then it opens up this whole story. But it is so not what you think.
Oh my gosh. All right. I know what my next binge is. Thanks for
Yeah.
that.
The last 5 minutes of episode one will be like, I'm sorry, what now? So you watch it, rewatch it 3 times. I'm like, wait, what just happened?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Next week will be the season finale of it. And it's already been renewed for a second season because it's that good.
That good.
Yeah. Like it's Dan Fogelman from This Is Us. So he and Sterling have reunited for this show.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. I will
Writing
check
is
that out.
writing. Yeah. For this. But even that, like watching TV as a group again, like all those different things matter in terms of how we treat ourselves better as we navigate the world that we're in.
Yes.
And speaking of like, how we can navigate the world better, you've learned a lot in your career. What do you think you'd tell 18-year-old Samantha?
I would tell 18-year-old Samantha and even 25-year-old Samantha something that I learned along the way, which is the value of team and the value of collaboration, which honestly, in the early part of my career, I was a, lone wolf. I thought I could do everything alone. I wanted credit for the things that I did. I didn't really realize until, frankly started managing teams, the value of team, not just for my own, personal benefit, of course, but really in accomplishing whatever the goal may be. You can always go further with a team than you can yourself. It's also great to be able to enrich the younger versions of yourself and help guide the younger versions of yourself. I'm really proud of some of the folks that I've been privileged to manage over the years and the relationships that I still hold with some of them where, they've graciously credited me in part with some of their successes. And I have huge value in that. But that's probably what I would tell my 18-year-old self. Don't try to do it alone. Don't try to go it alone. Bring in people, be more community focused and team focused. Yeah, that would be exactly what I would tell my young career self.
I love it. If you want to go, go alone. If you want to go if you want to go faster, go together.
Yes, that's the expression, right? That's right. And it's true. I think again, something that I matured into. It's probably not a huge challenge for some, but for me, it was definitely a learning that came from experience.
And as everything we do, we learn from it step by step, piece by piece. So, thinking about all of that, do you have a give and or ask of the audience?
Yes, I mean, I think my give. would be a little bit of what I just shared about my younger self. And also, I think really helping to nurture talent. I would recommend that, whether it be in a formal setting or an informal setting, taking the opportunity to find somebody who needs your help and your experience, and things that you might even take for granted can be of huge value to others. I had an experience like that recently with someone I didn't know at all, reached out to me on LinkedIn. She was just interested in my career and wanted specifically to know more about how to break into social impact. And I took a few minutes and gave her a few nuggets that honestly I thought were like kind of throwaway insights, but they really resonated with her. She was super grateful, and hopefully she'll take some of those little nuggets, and move differently in her pursuit. And of course, I'm happy to help where I can after that kind of initial call. But I would say, that would be my advice to the audience. Sometimes we, and I'm included in this too, get really wrapped up and myopic into what we're doing and how we are supporting, our immediate teams, our immediate environments. But I would say definitely just, make yourself available and share, especially at the mid to later stages of career. We have more knowledge than we know what to do with, and don't really always understand the value that has in folks that are just coming up.
I think that's a really, really important bit of advice, and I hope folks take it. It's like, ask, please ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you ask 10 people, 7 will say yes, 3 will say no. There's usually, there's relatively good people out here in the world. And for the 3 who don't respond, oh well, good luck for them. But you'll get, 7 good answers who will probably help you along the way. So just don't be afraid to ask.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then my last question for you,
Mhm.
what's one thing that brings you joy?
One thing that brings me joy, well, this is going to sound like a very like mom answer, but I would have to say delighting in how my son Addison is growing, is learning, and who he's becoming is such a joy. And there's something really interesting about what happens like around 7 or 8 that feels like he's just catapulting in maturity faster than I would have guessed. Things that he's doing that I would have probably predicted. I'd see it like age 10 or 11 or 12. The questions that he's asking. He's a very inquisitive soul. And so he brings me joy just as a human, but it also brings me joy to see, how he's developing as a little young man. And even though kids can be very challenging, he is truly my core sense of joy. So that would be my answer.
Awesome. We love that. All my friends who have kids are like, the biggest joy is seeing the world through their kids' eyes because you get to see it in a whole new light.
Yes, and it's refreshing and life affirming, I will say. And it's a wonderful window to look through. Agreed.
Awesome. And a beautiful way to end the conversation. Samantha, you've just been a wonderful delight. I'm so glad we finally got you on.
I know.
Uh,
Thank you, Laura. This has been wonderful, and I am too. So happy to be a part of this important month and this important series. And thank you for being committed to helping to share all these different voices, particularly in this important month of February.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll put details in the show notes for folks to connect with you and all the work you're up to. And that is our show.